everybody. So I want to introduce you to David Weiss, who is known as Flat Earth Dave. And I'd like to talk to him a little bit today about all of his knowledge and how long he's been working on all of the things that he's brought to the world. So I think it's amazing and brave. So I'd like to hear about that today, Dave.
Well, thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Love talking to people that can see the world for especially what it isn't, but what it appears to be.
Right.
If I said that right.
You did good. So tell me how did you get started on this? Like what prompted you to start to research what was actually going on?
Great. So back at the beginning, I always questioned a lot of things, but it wasn't until I saw a movie, I think it was called Money Masters or something like that. Maybe Money Masters might have come after that. And it was about what is money and why is money valuable. I'm like, because I was questioning, why does this dollar have value? And then I found out that money is just a scam. And then I got into the Federal Reserve. I'm like, okay, well, the Federal Reserve, is a government agency. When then I found out they're not a government agency. And so I started looking into that more and more. And my buddy at a company I worked at was also looking into it. And we would talk about it in lunchroom. And each day, more and more people would gather around us to the point where like everybody was waiting for us to come in the lunchroom. And he said to me at that point, he goes, hey, I have an opportunity. My buddy, who's a comedian in New York City, there's a new podcast studio, and he's got an idea for a podcast. And I'm like, what's a podcast, right? And then he's like, it's a radio show that's recorded beforehand. I'm like, all right. And it was basically two truth seekers and a comedian that tried to turn everything into a fart joke, basically. And at that point, we were looking into 9/11 and all of the other things. And so it was called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Did that every week for 2 years or 3 years. We did it, but just going into the third year, started getting messages from people. Hey, have you looked into flat Earth? And I was like, well, that's a joke. Delete, delete, delete. And then I started banning people forever for even suggesting that I waste any of my time looking into flat Earth. How dumb. There's a million proofs the Earth is a globe. There's no proofs the Earth is flat, right? And I refused to look. And then my good friend, Sophia Smallstorm, I was talking to her about some crazy Bang Bang event that had gone on that's so stupid and so fake. And I said to her, there's so much fakery in this world. It's overwhelming. And she says to me, she goes, oh, David, it's worse than that. I think the Earth might be flat. And I'm like, I was just shocked. I'm like, not you too. And she goes, here, watch these videos. Now, I tell people, watch videos, listen to me, but don't believe anything. Go verify this stuff yourself. So I watched the videos, and that was back in 2014, maybe. And I'm like, get out of here. And then YouTube would recommend, hey, you like that video? Watch this video. And they'd recommend other videos alike, right? Like that. And I started watching. And it wasn't until I came across the boats over the horizon where people could zoom them back into focus. I'm like, wait a minute. It went over the horizon. How do you zoom? How do you zoom back into my mouth when it's behind a physical horizon? And that was the beginning of my flat Earth rabbit hole. And the flat Earth, I realized, everyone goes through a similar journey if they're brave enough to even start asking questions to somebody that knows. They go, what about sunsets? What about seasons? What about boats over the horizon? What about, this and that? And as each one of those things gets knocked down and they realize, wow, I was wrong, they throw up their hands and they go, what difference does it make? I have to go to work on Monday. That's everyone, pre-programmed line. I know what people are going to say before they say them because I said the same things because I was programmed. Yeah. And the truth is, the globe lie puts you in a prison. It puts your mind in a sphere. Okay, it puts your mind in a prison, and if you don't know you're in a prison, you never bother looking outside the walls. You never bother looking any further, right? So what do I mean by a prison, right? So there's two things that globe believers have in common. One, they have no idea what their model is. I know more about their model. I know 1,000 times more about their model. Two, They think flat Earth is a disk floating in space, rising at 9.8 meters per second, all sorts of garbage that no flat Earther believes. But they think flat Earthers believe that. Okay. So I'm going to just do a quick demonstration of how this is the prism. If we lived here in this pond and all of this, who knows how far, is more land, more oceans, more ponds, if you will, maybe. The way you get somebody to ignore that is you cut it out and you wrap it around a sphere. And you say, this is where you live. And you program that into kids before they can even talk. You program that into them in all of their video games, all of their movies, all of their television shows. And you say, you live on this sphere. And that's it. And if you don't know there's nothing more to imagine, then you won't imagine. Then you won't even think about it. Now, you can put a mountain lion. You got a pet mountain lion. You put him in a fence about an acre big. He's not going to be that happy, but he'll be all right. You'll put him in 50 acres or 500 acres. He's probably pretty good. He sees a fence, he turns around. You put a human in something, I don't care how big the fence is. They get to a fence, they want to know what's on the other side. So they hid the fence. They hid the fence. Yeah. And so the amazing thing about flat Earth is once somebody breaks the programming and looks, they say the same thing. Two things happen. One, they say, how the hell did I ever believe that helio-nonsensical model? And two, they never put it down because it affects you every day. Every waking and sleeping moment of every day, every person on Earth. So when you wake up to the flat Earth, it doesn't go away. I warn people. I'm like, hey, Dave, what are you doing these days? I just had an old friend, kite surfing buddy, town guy. Haven't talked to him in years. He's like, hey, you still in the renewable energy business? And I said, well, actually, no, I'm not. I said, I developed an app and I'm, going around telling people about it. And, if you want to know some more, let's get together for a beer. And then I also sent them a link to the first two Level movies. Have you watched Level and The Next Level? So no. these are two movies made by Hibbler Production. Amazing. I'll link them, and you can link them in the description.
Yeah.
And and then the third one's coming out on Flat Earth Day, which is April 22nd. Used to be called Earth Day, but now it's Flat Earth Day. All right.
There you go.
and that's called Level with Me. Those three are impossible for anyone to watch if they pay attention and then walk away being Globe Earther. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. So I sent them a link to the movies. And I said, but before you watch, this is your red pill moment. I said, you can either choose to watch the movies or you can choose not to watch the movies and live the life that you have always been told, you're living. I said, but if you watch them, there's no going back into the matrix. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that is the truth. Once you see, you can't unsee. If I said, let's say you live with your parents, you're growing up with your parents, everything's good. And one day I showed you, hey, those aren't your parents. You were kidnapped as a baby and that's it. You can't ever not deal with that. That's in your head. It's over. You can't undeal with it. As long as I showed you that it's absolutely positively true, you can't live the same life. So once you see the flat Earth, you can't unsee it. But the problem is they've done such a good job at brainwashing people not to look. Why the lie? Because the lie, when it unfolds, unplugs you from their matrix. They need your energy. They need you cooperating and participating in their system. Okay? You have to participate. They can't force you, but they can trick you. As long as they give you an opportunity to see the truth. Here today is your opportunity to see the truth. Okay? But it's not easy. Hey, I live in Connecticut. Okay? Where do I live, honey? Where do I live? Do you believe it or do you know it?
I just believe it because
you believe it because I seem kind of trustworthy. And why would I lie about that? And that's a belief. But if you really wanted to know, you have to go online. Maybe you go on Facebook. You find my friends. You find my high school. Yeah, he lives in Connecticut. Okay. But they want you believing all of these things. They want you believing in just everything. There's nothing there's almost nothing that's real. That's what's scary. People are like, Dave, what's something that happened that's real? And I really have a hard time coming up. I used to say Sully landed that plane on the Hudson River in the middle of winter. That's not even true. Okay. So once you once you see it and realize that you're participating, you can just remove your participation and life changes. And maybe you don't have to go to work on Monday. I don't have to go to work on Monday.
Right. Me either.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah. So I want to share what you sent me.
What I said.
Yeah, so I want to share this. And
okay.
So you sent me this, and to me, it reminded me of what I saw. So I speak to my higher self, and that's how I get all my information. And I think you know that, but this is for everybody. And this is what I saw when I had a download.
Wow,
So
look at that.
Earth is a donut. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I don't know if that's a donut. I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your mind. And I don't know if you've seen it, but you just drew a picture that is amazing.
Yeah. So let me show you the rest of it, though, really quick. Just so this is the rest. So I was given Earth as a toroidal field with a top and a bottom, and us in a literal prison. You talk about how it's a prison of the mind, but I get that we're in a literal prison on the top of the planet, which is not a globe at all. It's actually a little wider than this too. So I'm going to stop the share and we can talk about that. But
yeah, so there's a lot to go in there. So let me pull up a couple maps. And so this map is called the Gleason's map, and it was in every encyclopedia, every school book. It was everywhere. It was taught everywhere. And then in the 1950s, they removed it. They hid it. And most people that haven't looked into flat Earth have never seen it. And it's right there in plain sight. This is the best map that we have. It might not be completely accurate because, as a matter of fact, I saw a news article recently that said they found 1,000 new islands near Japan. 1,000 new islands near Japan? I mean, it's like, how could that even be possible? But on a flat Earth, maybe it is possible, but I haven't looked into it enough, but I'm going to look into it some more. So this is one way I see the world, let me see, where we live here in this center part. Here's Antarctica.
Yeah.
There's more land out here. Okay. Extra land, extra territory. If someone lived on the extra territory, what would you consider them? An extraterrestrial?
No.
No? What would you consider them?
So I would consider, so they're not there now. So this is what I've been getting. Okay. So beyond the ice wall, or what we call Antarctica, is the rest of who used to be in charge of everybody, right? So the elite class, or the bad guys, we'll just call them, they used to live out there. And we used to live in the corral in the middle. And the dome that I just showed you was over both. So basically there is an ice wall, then a dome, and then beyond that is even more land.
So here's another map that I really like. Let me make it a little bigger. So if we lived, let's say we lived in this puddle in the middle, and then there's other puddles. They all have their own suns. They all have their own domes. Maybe there's a super dome over it. And again, anything beyond what I call the neutral zone, which is 60 degrees south, which is the Antarctic Treaty, is speculation. So we're speculating here. I don't know. I think that this is a possibility. There's other ponds out there. What do you call a pond that occupies a piece of the plane? A planet. Okay? A planet. Interesting words, right? So all of these other worlds are right here on Earth, scientifically possible. Outer space, infinite vacuum, distant suns, which we can prove you couldn't see at a fraction of the distance they tell us. Okay. All absolute and total nonsense. Last night I went out and Jupiter is in the sky, the light that we call Jupiter. Okay. It was gigantic and it's as bright as the sun. It's just small, right? But it's bigger than any star. You have to believe that, if you were on Jupiter looking at the sun's so far away, it's much farther than we see it from Earth. So the sun is tiny, right? That little tiny sun is reflecting off of the non-reflective surface of Jupiter, coming all the way back to Earth, and I see it as bright as the sun. That's scientifically impossible when you use your brain and understand how light works and how light reflects and how light over distance gets dimmer and dimmer, not brighter and brighter. Once you put that together, I'm not telling you what Jupiter is. I'm telling you it's not a dusty, gassy ball, millions and millions and millions of miles away. So that is just, there's a possibility. But another thing I want to show you, are you familiar with Iwaranan's work?
No.
So
I get a lot of my information just from within, so I don't really seek out a whole lot.
Yeah. So here is, looks very similar to what you drew. The area in the green is our known world right now. The red line is our North Pole. So if you go right to the center of those white circles, where the green is, that's where our North Pole is. Well, our North Pole is pivoting. It's rotating around that red line, and it takes the sun with it. And it takes 26,000 years, a great year, to go around. So in 13,000 years, we're going to be on the other side, 180 degrees. That's going to be the known world, and this will be ice. All be ice. So, as the North Pole moves around, it takes the sun with it, and that's how we have these ages. So in 13,000 years or so, the living world will be here. This will be frozen in ice. Seems very similar to what I saw you draw. And if you look at the Prague, the Prague clock, it shows, it's literally a mechanical clock that shows this configuration. The oldest clock in the world.
There's also a map similar to that in the UNN.
Correct. Yeah. I think I used to have a picture of that. I'm not sure where it is. I'll have to add it. So again, and getting back to where what you were saying is, we do live in a toroidal field. We live where the top is pure consciousness, non-physical pure consciousness. That's where we really reside. That's where, in my opinion, our soul energy resides. And then it spirals down into the lowest vibration, and that's our physical reality. That's the dielectric plane in this field. So that picture you drew seems like you drew the torus field, and we're on that plane in the middle. And that's our physical reality.
That's not exactly what I get, but let's go ahead and look again. So I actually get a totally different scenario about space. So it actually fits in more with what you're saying, but it's a little bit of a tweak on that. So I get that Earth is shaped like this. Earth is her own toroidal. We're sitting on top of her toroidal field. And we're basically, so Earth is called Terra quite often. And I get that we are basically in a terrarium. So the weather stuff is all falsified. It's created. So I don't really see it as we're going to go somewhere else and then this is going to become ice. I see it will all be under this line of the atmosphere. And I get that there's inner Earth as well. But there's a whole nother subject that I want to bring up with you that is kind of mind-blowing, and I don't know if you've seen it. So this is certain settings, and I can put them underneath, that are done in a phone. And recently people have been playing with this. And as you get closer, you see this. So basically, I think, and I've been getting that we live under a hologram at this point. So we have a holographic sky. And this is a computer. This comes from a computer, and this comes from a friend of mine who did that.
Oh, I've seen that, where you see these computer chip configurations in the clouds, and I for 10 seconds tried to recreate it, and I was unsuccessful, but I didn't try hard enough or correctly. So I'm looking to verify this myself, because there's a lot of nonsense, that people put out there as real, and people get duped. Somebody a real good conspiracy investigator gets duped by one person that says, oh, look at this. I found this computer chip cloud. And then that conspiracy person puts it out and all of his followers go, wow, I really trust that guy. And then they all put it out and everyone trusts everybody, but they don't know that it wasn't real to start with. I'm not saying that's not real. I'm like, let's verify it. It very well could be real.
Right. I wouldn't have shared it if it didn't come from a friend of mine, like an actual friend. So he's somebody that I do shows with all the time. So he created that with his settings in his phone.
I'd love to see it. Like if someone could, have him do it and record it live or something and just teach other people how to do it. I think this world is crazier than that. So that's no shock to me.
Oh, it's way crazier than that. Yeah. There are things that we don't know that we don't even have questions to find out with.
Right. Yeah. Right. There's as Donald Rumsfeld said, there's known knowns and unknown knowns and unknown unknowns.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But I want to talk to you also about Tartaria.
Yeah.
I want to know what you know about that, because I've gotten a lot of information, but I don't have any of the nuts and bolts information. Like I didn't research anything, just all came in.
Yeah, well, Tartaria is one of the most fascinating topics out there, and I like to say there's more proof of it than not proof. But there's what I'm trying to say is there's so many people that are discovering so many things. And they're calling it Tartaria, whether Tartaria was worldwide or Tartaria was just a big part of Russia. It's like Band-Aids. All adhesive strips are not Band-Aids. Tartarian times. I call it what do I call it? I forget the name. I call it our lost past. I'm totally forgetting what I used to call it. But I don't want to put a label on it. It's our lost history. Where there were giants and people are like, no, there wasn't giants. Well, there's bones. None of there's bones. There's videos of giants walking among men wearing suits, in New York City. And I mean, everywhere, the World's Fairs in Prague, the buildings are, built for giants. The doors with the lock are, 20 feet in the air, 30 feet in the air. So
yeah.
People that think it's not true. And I constantly plug, I'm going to do it here. There's a guy on TikTok. Everyone, there's a lot of people people are busy. That's the whole idea. Keep everyone busy, everyone going paycheck to paycheck. So they don't have time to think about stuff that's out of the mainstream. Mm-hmm. And so Instagram, there's a researcher called I'm the Improbable Dreamer. All one word. I'm the Improbable Dreamer. I encourage anyone, when you have 20 minutes, half an hour, 10 minutes, whatever, sit down on the couch, bring up his channel and go through each of his short little videos. And he doesn't make any solid claims. He just says, look at this, look at this, look at this. This is impossible, with the history that we've been sold. And just be careful. If you go down that rabbit hole, you're never getting out.
I think it's important to do so, though.
Yeah. And have you looked into star forts?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah, star forts are all over the place. The Statue of Liberty is on a star fort. I was told as a kid that the French built the Statue of Liberty and sent it over to us and built it as a gift. That's nonsense. That was here long before our yeah. And then you look at, stuff like this, you're finding buildings underground. Like, what happened? And I'm not claiming to know what happened or when it happened, but if I had to take a guess, I think the last mud flood was in the mid 1800s, maybe even late 1800s, right?
A little before the mid.
A little before the mid. All right, so somewhere in there, give me a 50-year spread on either side, and I'll take it.
Totally have it right. Yep. Mm-hmm. At least according to my guidance. Yeah.
So there's so many different things. Like back in the old times, like why did they build this castle? Why did they go? We couldn't build this today with modern machinery. We couldn't even get the machinery up there, right? And then at the World's Fairs, they're building stuff like this. And they're like, oh, they built it, in under 2 years, and did it for 6 months, and then they knocked it all down. The knocking down was just to hide our history, stuff they can't explain.
Yeah.
That's why, I grew up here on the East Coast in Connecticut and, next to New York City. And when I was a kid, the Bronx were just a mess. And they never really explained what was going on there. And it was literally it was just the old world was destroyed and left in ruins. And, we, as I Am the Improbable Dreamer says, we are the inheritors of a post-apocalyptic world. And when you go, and you start looking at the Tartarian stuff, even in New York City, they were excavating and they found buildings underneath the street. What is that? I mean, what's going on there? How come we don't know about this stuff? And tunnels, there's tunnels everywhere, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there's videos and pictures of cities with giant buildings being dug out of the mud, right? Right. And then in Salt Lake City, right? The story is the Mormons built this. This is their temple, their church. When they had horses and buggies, they had no place to make the materials that they needed, and they built this with no power tools.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense, right? Makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to look into, the mud floods, into, there's a lot of evidence that something, could be anything, turned everything into stone, including giant animals, humans, buildings, everything. Turned it into stone. Could have happened in a split second. It could have happened in more than a split second. I don't know. Right?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And obviously they had technology that we don't have now, that they've hidden, that they probably still have access to.
Right. This was built in horse and buggies times. Horse and buggies, right? Some of our biggest cranes couldn't move some of these blocks. Okay. So again, once you go down that rabbit hole, and in my app, which is the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, I have a Tartaria button. If you go into the more resources page and you scroll down to somewhere in here, mud floods and Tartaria, there it is, right there. And you click it, got an ever-growing playlist of really good videos. Go find a video. Wow, I really like that guy. Subscribe to that guy, right? Watch his videos. Watch more. Make up your own mind. Do your own investigation, because guess what? I guarantee everybody where you are, within just a few miles, there's Tartarian evidence that you can see yourself. It's everywhere. But people, we've just been blinded to it. Have you looked into the giant trees?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people saying, these rock ridges, that's a branch of a tree, and that mountain that's 15 miles around, that's the trunk of the tree. That's a lot. That's a bold claim. Okay. So there's this one guy called Hangman 1120 or something like that. I don't know. He's got a 4-digit number on YouTube. And he shows these rock ridges, because these are the branches, this is it. And down there in the valley, that's the base of the tree. And he's showing you, comparing decaying wood to these rocks. They're literally the exact same thing. But then he found a spot this last year where the rock just transitioned back into wood, something that part of it that hadn't turned to rock yet. That should be on the front page of every major newspaper and every news show for weeks. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody sees anything. Even in our world, it's so censored. People do like, what? They found rock transitioning into wood. It's like, so the idea that those rocks were once wood is no longer an idea. It's a scientific fact. Okay. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Because we're too lost.
Well, I think they keep it away from everybody. I think people would care. It really is important that people start with something simple. Like an idea. And I think that's why the shape of the earth is so cool, as far as, and also it not being attached to any any person or country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, don't follow me. You can use me. I just point at things. I'm like, go over here, think about this, look at this, and we do some experiments and show you, if you said, Dave, is the earth flat? My short answer is, well, yeah, well, but it's a topographical plane. How it's constructed, where it is, what's above, what's below, I can't answer any of that. But if you said, Dave, what are the odds that the Earth is a rock, a lumpy rock, surrounded by water that's perfectly spherical, surrounded by spherical air, adjacent to a void? And I'd say 0.0 to the millionth power, zero. Okay.
Yeah.
There's zero chance that that's the case. Okay. Unless we're completely in a 100% simulation and none of the laws of physics matter anywhere. And then everything's off the table there. But yeah. I think that we are, and what I call, I don't like using the word simulation, but I call it a physical simulation. We are here having an experience in this low vibrating existence of physicality. And our true source of energy and information is up here in the non-physical. And that's where you're connecting to and getting your downloads.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting my downloads from. And also there are different planes of existence that are higher. And a lot of us come from there.
Yeah.
And we're here to assist. And that's, what we're here to do is just kind of elevate everything and also point things out for people.
I 100% agree. We are here to enjoy this amazing, beautiful realm, to help the person to the left and help the person to the right. And if everyone just did that, all would be well. But we have psychopaths that have hijacked the system, have put our minds in a prison and made us believe in everything up to death and taxes, which aren't even true. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, everything's true. Everything could be a lie except death and taxes. Wrong. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that's going on right now is so that the biggest journey is the journey to sovereignty and the journey to learn from within instead of from without. To get triggered by somebody like you who has this idea and then take it and go with it and find out if it's true for them or not. I think that's one of the biggest journeys that people have right now that they need to be doing.
And again, don't believe anything. Verify yourself. NASA says this, and this. None of that you can verify. You can use your common sense and realize it's impossible. If anyone's listening, go to my flatearthdave.com. You can find all my links there, but click recent interviews and watch there. I show example after example after example how NASA's lying. Just one. You only need one. And then you can unwind it. NASA's fake. No one's ever been to space. I gave you 1,000. Okay. So, people like you, me, somehow we woke up, but people in general, by default, are nice and kind and loving, and they can't imagine evil on the level that it is. Therefore, they're like, oh my God, I can't even fathom that. Well, if you can't fathom it, you can't see it. Okay. And the evil that is here is amazing. Now, I don't hate the evil ones. It's actually make this place quite interesting. I mean, it's a fascinating puzzle we're in.
Creates a lot of growth. Lot of growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody has a role. Like, I don't know if you believe in reincarnation, but everybody has a role as a bad guy at one time or another.
This is a thought I had this morning. I did another interview in Denmark, I think. Denmark? Somewhere up there. Holland. And we're all non-physical, and we're having this avatar, for lack of a better word, experience here. And then there's people that are really, there's we have the anti-flat earthers, these guys that are dedicated to just, going after us. And they put out such nonsense, and they're the most despicable people. I don't ever like mention their names or even engaging with them, because when I do, I feel like I need a shower. Okay. But I don't hate them. I'm like, interesting, because they show me something, and then I'll look over here and see the opposite and go, oh, that's really good. Thank you for pointing that out. And then I kind of imagine when we spiral back up to non-physical, that person over there that I could say that I hate, but I don't hate, ends up being my sole family member going, ha ha ha, I did it. I trolled you for years, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
thank you for that incredible growth you gave me. It's that's my bet. I think it actually works that way.
It does. It does work that way. And we have a dark side and a light side ourselves, even.
I have two light sides, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, tell me what else is going on. I'm interested to hear about like the stuff that you dive into on a daily basis. Like, what are you talking about with everybody?
Well, I mostly focus on flat Earth because it is the one thing that wakes people up. I used to wake people up to, I'll mention it in a YouTube friendly way, the New York event, the Connecticut event, and the Boston running event. Okay. Now, for those of you that I don't know what your audience is like that are triggered, like, what do you mean the Connecticut event? Stop, look, think, stop. Oh, they all know. StopLookThink.com. All of the videos that have been removed from YouTube are there. StopLookThink.com. Click the hoaxes menu, drop down, and everything you need is there. But I used to wake people up. I go, you know what? I called it exposing the big three: New York, Connecticut, and Boston. You wake someone up to that, boom, they're awake. And I found out people would wake up and they'd be like, well, the people that were running that, they're going to be gone soon. And they just literally go back into the matrix. They go back. But when you wake someone up to, we don't live on a globe flying through an infinite space vacuum, they never go back. Once you destroy the globe, you never globe back. Is that the saying? There's a bumper sticker in there somewhere. So yeah. So and it's such a fascinating thing. Throughout my life, I was like, oh, I love this. I want to do this, and I get things, and I do it, and then 6 months later, a year later, 2 weeks later, you're like, yeah, it's in the closet, and you lose interest in things and different things. But when you wake up to flat Earth, it, for lack of a better word, it becomes an obsession because it's so freeing. It frees your soul from the matrix. The matrix is the heliocentric system. It's a prison for your mind. And most people are afraid to look outside. You tell somebody, their parents are this or something, they don't want to, it's going to screw up my life too much. You tell somebody everything you believe about the earth is a lie. That's a hard one. But when they do drop it and they look and they see this world is so interesting, you're never bored for a second when you're waking up to the truth because there's so much truth out there. There's so much to look into. I'm never, ever, ever, ever bored. If I wake up with insomnia at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, wow, I got 5 hours before I have to talk to anybody, and then I have I can research and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Stuck in traffic. Awesome. Put on this video, and you just learn more and more and more. It's such a fascinating world. So that's what I mostly talk to people about. And because, I was making the analogy, exposing the big three, they go back to sleep. You wake them up to flat Earth. Once they see flat Earth, they can see everything else. So I found that flat Earth, and I used to say flat Earth is the biggest secret of all. Sean Hibbler, who made the Level series, I think it was him, or maybe it was Eddie Bravo, said, when I woke up to flat Earth, I was kind of depressed because I realized I'll never have a bigger wow moment. Okay. But there's bigger wow moments than flat Earth.
There are bigger.
Yeah, there are bigger. There are bigger, and there's bigger. Like, I'm almost afraid to look at some of them. They're so big, but that's okay. Flat Earth is what ties it all together. Flat Earth, the globe lie is how they keep you from seeing, right? Once you connect to the flat Earth, once you realize you're at the center of creation, you are a powerful spiritual being. There's no such thing as death and taxes, right? Once you realize these things, you really start connecting, and your energy starts going out. I was told this by an incredible guy in Mexico that I met that builds these Tesla coils. That's literally, he connects to the Akashic records, or whatever you want to call it, and gets the information on how to build these old world machines. And
I tap into those.
And he said he did a speech, and it was being translated by Santos Bonacci because he's speaking Spanish. Santos would interpret it. And he said, and I've heard this before, that every point everywhere, without exception, is connected to every other point. This hair molecule is connected to the cell at the end of your hair and that painting behind you, and just everything. Everything's connected to everything all the time. Hard to realize, but once you wrap your mind around it, which is really difficult to do, then you start realizing, wow, my thoughts have great power. My thoughts are everywhere, but if your thoughts are trapped in a ball, think how limited your energy is. And then how are your intuitive powers if you're really scared? They're literally shut off. When you're in fear, you disconnect from you live in this, you literally cut yourself off. So the news steers your mind north, east, west, south. It's steering your mind, worrying you, giving you the headlines. Okay. And so they got 24-hour news. A lot of places, everyone leaves their news. Not everyone, nobody I know anymore, actually, but people leave the news running all the time. We went into a salon, like a nail salon, or whatever, and they got the news on. I'm like, why don't you put the Discovery Channel on? Something, put a Nature Channel on. Well, why are you doing that? Because people have been brainwashed into watching this. Everything is about fear.
You get addicted to it too.
Right. People get addicted to that fear. It becomes part of who they are. Boy, life has changed so much for me since I woke up. It changes every day. Every day my mind is blown. Every single day I'm like, wow. Right. I realize I will never be done learning. I will never know it all. And I will never cease to be having my mind blown. And life is amazing. Here, check this out. This is what someone said. They said, if I gave you $1 million cash right now, no strings attached, no taxes, no nothing, you feel pretty good. Yeah, okay. We live in this society. Money definitely helps, right? But we're not in it for the money. And if somebody came up and started poking fun at you, your hair looks funny, you have 4 eyes, you're wearing glasses, probably wouldn't affect your mood at all, right? Okay, right? Because that $1 million made you really happy. They said, all right, how about this? I'll give you the $1 million. Let's make it $10 million. But you don't get to wake up tomorrow. This is it. Would you take the money?
Nope.
So the question is, tomorrow when you wake up, why don't you feel like $10 million? Right? Like every day when you wake up, you just turned down $10 million so you can wake up tomorrow. When you wake up, why don't you feel like $10 million or $100 million? Right? Doesn't matter. There's no amount of money I can give you that you would say, oh, I'll do it, but I don't get to wake up tomorrow. So when you find out what that number is, which is $1 trillion, doesn't matter. You should wake up feeling that good every day.
Yeah.
I saw that was on a TikTok. People say, I hate TikTok. It's this and that. I saw that on TikTok. It lifted me up. It made me see the world differently. So, I'm down with some short attention span, media streams. They work. They have.
I actually get a lot of information there.
It's what's amazing is I get so many people. I have tons of people that subscribe to me, and they say, "Oh, well, this video, that video, this video," and the ones that send me blind links, I just have to delete them. I can't click the link. Some people send me a link and they say, "Hey, real short. This is what it is." They even give me a timestamp. Half the time I have to go, I don't have time to watch that. Unfortunately, like I want to watch that. I want to watch that. And sometimes I'll start saving things and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally it's like, I just got to throw that list out and start over. Right. Because there's not enough time. I already listened to everything on 2x speed. Okay. So I've doubled my intake, and I noticed on some platforms, they go up to 4x. I don't know if I can do 4x.
No. Yeah. I don't watch a lot either. I've been kind of lucky that I've been able to just download a lot of the information, but it's been a lot of what I get is very similar to what you've been researching, but then there's nuances that are much different. So it just kind of spreads out. And I did a whole series called Hidden History where everybody can go and look at every single thing.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I've had experience with lots of people that download and channel or whatever you want to call it. They're connecting to source, they're getting information. And a lot of them say that they don't get it in words, they get it in feelings and images. It's not just in words. And then you use your words to display, to say it.
I get both.
You get both.
I get words, pictures, all of it. Yeah.
All right. Because I'm wondering.
I spent a long time trying to get to that point.
I've seen some people, though, where they'll get some information and then they wrap it around their world blues, the worldview. So they get some information and they'll relate it to a globe when it perfectly relates to a flat earth. I always say if you get a globe earther and a flat earther, and we can get into a flying machine. I don't want to say rocket because rockets don't carry people ever, except Mad Mike, who crashed into a canyon and killed himself.
Right.
If you flew him up to as high as you can go and then away, and there was no dome, they would the globe earther would see this flat world turn into a ball, would be a ball. And then if you went to another pond, if there was another pond, they would see a ball and it'd get bigger and they would land on a ball. The flat earther would go, I just left that lit part of the flat world and I went over to this other lit part of the flat world, right? Because
depending on how attached you are.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of attachments that people have, and that's what I went through to be able to be more clear, was to let go of all attachments within me. And that took me 6 weeks, and it was like a lot of endless work. And that's when I got that information. And I was like, okay, higher self, you really want me to put that on YouTube? And I got a yes.
There you go.
So I've been talking to her for 1.5 years about all this stuff. And a lot of it has been painful for me to share because I know that people aren't going to be too thrilled to hear it, especially space and the sun and how we don't rotate around the sun within a year. It took 10,000 years to go around the actual sun, but the sun that we see is not the actual sun. So there's just it's a huge, long story that, and also who's been in control of the earth, all of that stuff has come through. But
there's some interesting concept of who's in control of the earth. Let me show you an analogy. People are like, what do you mean we don't see the real sun? Okay. So this is I got a sheet hanging in my room. This is a light. It's actually a square light, about 10 feet on the other side of that sheet, but it looks round. It kind of looks like a sun. It even has a kind of corona and everything. And so my partner Paige is on the left and I'm over here and I go, where do you see the sun? And she points right there. So if I put a dot on a Sharpie right there, she's seeing the sun over here and I'm seeing it right there. Okay. Yeah. At the same time. So that's not the real sun. The real sun is within or behind the dome. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the real sun is beyond the dome. So it's not, we can't see it. And there's a reflection. So do you remember when the sun was yellow?
Yes.
When it used to be small and yellow, right? And now it's big and white and like blaring. You can't even really look at it.
Yep.
So I got around 2009, the sun changed, but I didn't notice it at that point. I just asked, when did that happen? But there's a reflection going on from the energy from the outside. The real sun is coming through, and that is the energy we're getting, but it's still a false sun.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm not claiming to know what the sun is, but I want to show you a little bit of evidence that we do not see the real sun. So over here is an eclipse that I filmed. It was slightly hazy, which actually helped. You know, the chemtrails actually helped me photograph the sun without blowing out the lens. And here is an eclipse that I created with a rear projection onto a paper towel. It's a rear projection. So this was an actual eclipse that was filmed in, I forget where it was filmed, but it's about 85, 95% eclipse. So this is just blown out. You can't see it because it's so bright. That's the sun that we see. But we can see these two like eclipse things. Now, this is clearly a lens flare because it's moving around with the lens. But what is this? Because it's locked in position with the sun. Okay. So I said, what if that's the real sun? And that's the projector that we're seeing. So fast forward a little bit. So here's my my eclipse. No one has ever seen the moon eclipse the sun. And so here's my moon, which is I'm blocking the source, and you never see it. You never see it eclipse the sun. You just see it, you know, eclipse and go away, and you see the paper towel, which is the sky. Okay. Yeah. So you never see it. If during a total eclipse, you should be able to see the moon with an infrared camera, with your naked eyes, with that, whatever. So then I did it with some thinner paper, and look, it's the same thing. This is the source. This is the projector behind. This is the eclipse that we see. We don't see the moon. We don't see it. And here it is. Here's the real one versus the versus the one I made. I don't know if you can get any more exact than that. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what the real sun is. Don't ask me who built this place. Don't ask me how far it is. Don't ask me how big it is. Don't ask me anything. I'm just telling you the sun that we see appears, prove me wrong, to be a projection into our personal atmospheric dome.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's I get it's a holographic projection.
Can I just want to mention we're having it's called the Equinox Summit on March 17th and 18th. For those people that just want to learn more about where I'm coming from, or those people that think that flat Earth is dumb, come here. Come to this summit. It's not, you don't have to come. It's literally online. And we have VIP tickets where you can actually interact with the question and answer. But we'll have chats going on just the regular tickets and also. And when you purchase the ticket's $50. It's 2 full days of amazing information. And if you miss some of it, you have access to it forever. So you can always just go back and watch it, what you missed, or watch it again and again and again. Great speakers, David Avocado Wolf. There's so many speakers. You can go to TEMMS.live or just flatearthdave.com. That's easy to remember. Flatearthdave.com. Scroll down, you'll see the banner. Click it, check it out. And it's a win-win because the people that go, you win, you get like a gift bag of a whole bunch of stuff that hopefully will add up to more than the cost of the ticket. A good portion of your ticket price goes to the content provider of your choice. There's a list of them that all the speakers, and you can pick somebody. And so you're supporting them because, we do our work and we get the big bucks, right? And you get paid, for all of the work you put in, but you get nothing, right? Very, very little. I'm guessing, unless you have clients and stuff. But I'm saying
I have clients. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So yeah, and I sell my app. So it's amazing though. Like people like, well, then prove the space station is this and that. Well, NASA gets $80 million every single day for decades, and we get nothing. Okay. And so we're trying to figure this out. We're trying to unwind it, and we're doing a really good job. So there's an infinite amount of proof. A fun weekend. Bring your friends, bring your family, check it out. And it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, that would be great. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
I don't know. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I like what you're doing, though. It's very fascinating. Years ago, maybe not even that many years ago, I'd be like, yeah, I kind of believe in that stuff, connecting to source, but I've seen it. I've seen it too many times. I have physical proof right here behind this green screen that you can download information that's beyond our known time. And there are things as over Unity machines. There's so much in this realm. So I think, what you're doing is great. I think that all truth seekers are doing together, I call it the truth soup, right? Like I go on shows, on different shows, big shows, little shows, radio shows. There's other people that go through the streets and they go to Speaker's Corner and they go on tour, right? And there's other people that just make short videos and other people that are on TikTok and all together, there's a plethora of information that proves that we live on a non-rotating, stationary, topographical level plane.
Yeah.
There you go. And it matters. Yeah. It matters. It matters.
It does matter.
It does matter.
Yeah.
They're hiding technology. They're hiding more land. They're hiding resources. They're hiding that we're not overpopulated. They're hiding other civilizations. They're hiding everything. They're hiding your divinity. Okay. They're hiding everything from you. And the amazing thing is they have so many people brainwashed that those people will fight to defend, what's that, Stockholm syndrome? They'll fight to defend their capture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. It is amazing. Also, though, you have to remember that there's a lot of different ages of souls here. So the younger the soul or the more of a splice of a soul that is in a human body, the less they're going to be able to comprehend what we're saying.
That's interesting. I guess maybe we're old souls.
Yeah.
And now, do you believe that we have a main soul and then other souls in our body at the same time?
We have an oversoul, which I call the higher self. And
Okay.
then we have a piece of that soul within us. And what's going on is we're gaining more and more of that oversoul coming into our body during this time. So I don't know if you talk about ascension at all on any of that kind of stuff, but we have a tremendous amount of information that's coming into our bodies right now, and our bodies are changing from carbon based to crystalline based. So we're going through this huge event in history, and it's happened before, but Earth is changing, we are changing, and we're kind of going into an amazing time period that's about to happen.
I think we're already in an amazing time period, but it's only going to get more
It's
amazing.
going to get bigger. It's going to get bigger, a lot bigger. Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So, if that's it, everybody, you can find me. If you have a podcast, if you know of a podcast, if you hear people talking, crap about flat Earth, and they're just doing it from a point of ignorance, throw my name out there. Throw a link and tell me where I can find them so I can reach out and we can have a conversation. And you can find just all my links are at flatearthdave.com. It's easy to remember. I can give you the name of my podcast. People forget the this and that. And, can you remember the name of the conference website?
Nope.
Yeah. It stands
Thames.
for True Earth.
Thames.
Go ahead. What is it? So how do you spell it? Give me the website. Let's see if you get it.
TEMM.com. Or
No.
maybe there's an S. I don't know.
Okay. TEMMS.com. Nope. It's .live. Okay. So it's kind of a joke between my good friends Jaron and Austin Whitsett. They do it. They make fun of my app because it's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Very long name. Okay. And I agree. Well, their conference name is unrememberable to someone that's just hearing it on the fly. But you can remember my website, flatearthdave.com. Flatearthdave.com. Yeah. And all the links are there. The website, my videos, my social media, booking me. Even I have the crash course. I mentioned the level movies. If you go scroll down my website to the middle, say crash course, there's a list of videos there. There's a preview, and then there's level and the next level. And on April 22nd, 2023, Flat Earth Day, we've hijacked Earth Day. It's now Flat Earth Day. The new level movie that's called Level with Me, and it's a game changer. Game changer. So check it out.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. I'm going to watch it. So I'll put that below in your flatearthdave.com below.
Yep.
So I'll just put that one so everybody can find everything. And if you air this, my name is Honey C. Golden, and that's really all you have to look up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And check out my app. It's really a great way. Every day there's a new featured video. The archive videos right here. And people go, is Flat Earth really a thing? I'm going to hit the friend finder and watch what happens here. So this shows you the less than 1% of the flat earthers have my app, right? And not all of them have even put a dot on the friend finder. We'll just let it load for a second, and it's going to show you just around me how many flat earthers there are. These are just around me. And I could tap on a dot and I could talk to that person. I can message them. I can send out a radius message to everybody in this circle. Hey, I'm having a meetup at Rico's Pizza Saturday at 4 p.m. Everyone shows up. I've never met a blue dot I don't like. Okay. They're everywhere. Yeah. We're just hitting almost 94,000 people. It's really an amazing growing community, and people are using this as a dating app, as a job app, as a friend app, because any blue dot on here, you can click on them and see their profile, and then you can start chatting and messaging. There's people that have gotten married, new best friends, people that have like weekly, monthly meetups. And it's great meeting other like-minded people. And sometimes it's hard in this zombie apocalypse that we're kind of in the middle.
It is hard. We do something like that too, but it's a Zoom event once a week.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So check it out. Everything's at flatearthdave.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Johan.
Well, I'm really glad you came. This has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate what you're doing for the world, because you're just kind of popping people's eyes open. It's like, what?
I'm doing my best.
And that's what we need. Yeah.
I keep hesitating saying your name, but I'm like, thanks, honey. I'm like, that's sexist.
No, my parents are hippies, and I went by my middle name like my whole life. And then when I went on YouTube, I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go by my real name, and there it
Perfect.
is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Flat earthers,
Yeah.
we're all out here with our real names, and all of the, many of the anti-flat earthers, they all go with fake names and just nonsense. And, when you have to lie and make up stuff to defend your position, it's really sad. But I ask nobody, don't believe me. Don't believe the anti-flat earthers. Figure it out yourself. We're just giving you the tools, right? There's the frequently
Yeah.
asked questions button. That'll answer every single question you have. And I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. If you watch this video every day for 2 weeks, the featured video, and you can come up with 1 globe proof, you get 3 Bitcoins. I have no fear
Wow.
losing the Bitcoins because the earth is not a globe.
Right. It's rigged.
It's rigged, but for somebody that believes it's a globe, they're like, oh, I got this sucker. He has the wrong belief. I'm going to win it and go for it, because that's how you become a flat earther. You try to debunk it. Honestly, try to debunk it, and you don't make up stuff. So,
yeah.
All right, honey. Thanks.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. It was great to talk to you.
All right. Thanks. Thank you, honey golden.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Bye-bye.